All right, so Monster Hunter World has been out for about a month now, and the good news is that it feels really good to hunt monsters in this game to make your own builds out of their weapons and armor. And really, all you need for a Monster Hunter game is usually that are there a lot of monsters to hunt and does it feel good? In this game, there are a lot of new monsters, but not a lot of monsters in general. There's a very small roster of like 29. I think that's around it, 29, with 20 of them being new entries and the rest being returns. And the thing is that even though a lot of those 20 entries are really cool, they've got lots of personality, they're really fun to fight. With it being such a small amount, you get to the end game quickly and it feels like you just don't have much to do. It feels like four or five more monsters would have been really good at making at holding your attention just a little bit more even. Because you get to Tempered Archveld and you realize the game doesn't have any Elder Dragons. The game has new classes like Constructs and Cephalopods. Cephalopods are really cool, but Constructs feel kind of underbaked or they just don't go all the way with it. This is like the closest Monster Hunter gets to sci fi, where they have man made monsters. So they could be living weapons, even more so than some of the entries we already have. But they don't go all the way with it. They don't even have any dedicated constructs. They've got the Zoshiva, but nothing else. And the Zoshiva kind of feels like it's just setting up for a stronger version of itself later anyway. So it's a shame that they don't go anywhere with it, and you're kind of left fighting those fun. Those monsters are fun, but you're kind of left thinking there should be more. And it feels like there should be more, which is a bit disappointing. And just to touch on difficulty a bit, I don't know if Monster Hunter still or ever actually had the reputation that it was really difficult to get into, but it never really felt that way. The most difficult Monster Hunter game you're probably ever going to play is going to be your first one in almost any circumstance, just because you're getting used to such a different game. I do think the old entries were a bit harder, but for instance, lots of Monster Hunter games have you fight enemies like the Baroth and the Rathian. Baroth is a very simple monster that really only charges at you. You can't break its head, you can break all the other parts of it, and by doing that, you weaken certain attacks of it. And Rathian, similar concept. You can you can break its head though. You can break its tail. The tail poisons you, so breaking off its tail is to your benefit. And it kind of teaches you got to avoid parts of some monsters, and it's to your benefit to cut off parts of certain other monsters. Just figure out what it is, so you can have a better chance of fighting it. And it's fun because it's fun through that loop of you just learning what the monsters do and how to what parts you should prioritize. And then that evolves over time, where you fight like the Diablos and the Rathalos. Diablos is a stronger monster that mainly charges at you, and Rathalos is a stronger wyvern that flies a lot. So you use more items in those fights. You learn a bit more what to prioritize, how to get into those areas which put you in a bit more danger, like when you need to actually break off the Diablo's horns to make the armor. But basically, what I'm just trying to say is that there's that escalation of it teaching you how to fight stronger monsters, how to target parts of monsters, and lots of Monster Hunter games have that teaching period. But fighting a bear off in Monster Hunter World isn't like significantly harder or easier than fighting it in like Monster Hunter 3. And fighting a Rathian feels pretty much the same in almost every Monster Hunter game. It's not like a Ninja Gaiden or a Dark Souls where it's assuming you have built-in knowledge and just building upon that knowledge, so it might be more difficult. It just doesn't work that way. Rank 2 quests are rank 2 quests. Rank 1 quests are rank 1 quests. You're always going to be fighting like a Great Jaggy at the start, or a Great Jagras. You're not going to fight like Kirin or Teostra just because it's Monster Hunter 4 or Generations. Monster Hunter does get a bit harder. Well, not a bit harder. It's much harder at the end when you're dealing with master rank quests and you're fighting like tempered elder dragons and silver Rathalos. That's normally when you experience a lot of difficulties with the game once again, but again, the game doesn't have Wilds doesn't have that sort of end game, which is just makes it a bit more disappointing since it gives you feels like it pushes you to the end game very quickly. It gives you all the skills. It gives you all the skills, the assistance, everything you could possibly need. It feels like it's pushing you towards that end game and giving you, and it just doesn't have it right now. As for mechanics, the game has, I guess, the standout mechanics are power clashes, which you can do with a shield after blocking enough times. You can just push the monster back, which is neat. Other weapons have like pseudo power clashes, I would say, where if you hit a strong attack into a monster's attack, you can eventually knock them down and go in for a follow up. And wounds, which I don't really like wounds because they don't really feel like they add much to how I'm playing or change anything like the way styles or wirebug skills do. Are you hitting the monster in any way at all? Well, then it's going to get wounds. Are you still hitting the monster? Well, eventually the wounds are going to be destroyed and the monster is going to explode like a pinata. You can hit target the wounds manually, but I don't know if that's better. It doesn't feel like it's better. I don't know. Wounds. I'm just not into wounds right now. Maybe there'll be fights where wounds are really important and they'll add a lot to the experience. I don't know. Monster Hunter does feel fun, but Monster Hunter Wilds does feel fun. It's just, I want to keep playing it. That's what's frustrating about it. The game is a lot of fun, and I just wish I had more reason to keep playing it. Oh well.